Hi guys, Joe here. I got second place at the Kinley Park EDISON event. 65 people, played 7 rounds of Swiss, and played through top 8. I went X1 in Swiss. I lost to Fairies round 1 because I got returned for 5 game 1 and game 3, which was pretty rough. But that happens sometimes. That's why you play Swiss. And then top 8 I beat Blackwings, and top 4 I beat X-Savers, and I lost the finals to Dragon Turbo with like traps and stuff. We just got heavy game 1 and 2, which was rough, and Future Fusion as well, so it kind of happens. But I played Hero Beats. The reason I played this deck is because I think Gemini Spark is one of the most rewarding cards in the format. Even though the deck is like probably a tier 1.5, maybe tier 2 deck. But I think if you you play your high value cards correctly, you get to points where you can kind of look at them and you're like +3, +4, and as long as you can keep cooking, usually win most of the games. But sometimes you grind too long and run out of monsters, which has happened before. So I played 40 cards in the main deck. Alias, Stratos, Ocean, standard guys. I use this to pop spell and trap cards more than I use it to search, honestly, which as weird as it sounds. But usually turn 1 you stick this and then you can pop something with this if you have follow-up already. This is just being a searchable water for Miracle Fusion. Then I played the Diva cards. Played 3 and 2 because in testing I was drawing this a lot and it was really bad. And now I played 2 and drew it even more. Crazy how that works. So I'll be playing 1 of this from this point forward, and I'll just die mad when I draw it. Essentially, if you do draw this and Diva, and you can stick an Alias, you just go Diva, summon Diva, make a 6. If you need more waters in grave, you can summon Brio, but burning your Brio is kind of rough sometimes. So you can just make the Flame Bull guy as burning your 6, and go right into Stardust or Thought Ruler if you're trying to play around stuff like Mindcon or BrainCon. And then played 2 Honest. It's another card that works with Alias. If you notice, a lot of these cards are super Alias centric, so if you don't draw Alias, the cards become a lot worse. This card being an exception though, because you can make Android with this and beat over a bunch of stuff. I guess another thing, going back to the what level 6 synchro you should make if you're going Diva into Diva with a level 4. If you have Call the Haunted, making Brio is sometimes just super beneficial. Being able to just bounce back before you push for game or something like that. This put in a lot of work for me. It's another up to Stardust, which is one of the biggest issues with this deck, is being able to get rid of Stardust. As well as if your opponent isn't really pushing, you can just attack for 11 and bounce it back to your hand and keep doing that. I won one of my games like that. So it's pretty good. I like this card a lot. 3 Miracle Fusion, 3 Gemini Spark, 2 E-Call, Rhoda, Heavy, MST, Future Fusion. Now, on my last list, I was playing Upstart, and I was playing 3 of this because you want to draw the good cards and you want to be able to play all the time. And I was really convinced that's the correct way to play the deck. But here's the fundamental issue. If you draw too much of these cards, which let you search, you just lose because you have 4 monsters or 4 cards that are, or 4 or 5 cards that are Alias centric, and you get bottomless and you just pass and you can't do anything. Whereas if you draw all trap cards, there's a pretty reasonable chance that you're going to be able to stop them from playing for long enough that you're able to draw a way to play. So you have a higher win percentage in games that you draw all traps, and you have a higher win percentage, and a lower win percentage in games where you draw all monsters. So that's why I decided to play that. Also, Upstart isn't very good in this deck if you play it correctly. Obviously, if you have Upstart, you can just fire it off whenever and draw the extra card whenever you want to. The thing about Upstart is it's usually correct to hold it for when you want to draw a card, when you need to draw a card. So an instance where you have Diva in your hand and you have something like Alias as your initial push, and you start with this and try to play through things, and you want the Diva to be your secondary push, your push to clear a bigger monster, a monster that this can't get rid of, without investing a lot of cards. So if you're investing this plus Honest to attack over a monster, that's like 2100, where you could just invest the Diva, this is your secondary push. If you have a combination of these two cards with Upstart, you don't want to Upstart immediately because you don't want to draw the Gilman. So that means you have to hold the Upstart, you have to wait the extra turn, and that extra turn could make you lose the game because it's not a trap card. So you want every card in your deck to be able to be played as soon as possible with this deck. And that's why I got rid of Upstarts, because holding it for like after you thin your deck is correct, but I don't want to have to hold any of my cards. So that's why I like not to play Upstarts. Future Fusion is really good. I thought this card was like pretty bad for a while, but once I started playing like more Floodgates, like having this as a potential like threat that you have to clear, as well as having it with a flood, super strong. Also sending Alias to make your Hero Blast live is pretty cool. Other than that, everything is pretty standard. For the traps, I played 3D Prison, another Up to Stardust, just like a really good card overall. 2 Hero Blast, 2 Bottomless, pretty standard stuff. In terms of siding, I side this card out all the time when I go second. You want cards that are able to deal with threats that are already on the board as fast as possible. If you have something like Bottomless and they already have 2 monsters, that can apply a lot of pressure. This card is just sitting there kind of doing nothing, whereas like D-Prison stops the attack from the monster that you can't out with just Engine, so it's going to get sided a lot when I go second, but pretty solid going first. With 1 Skill Drain, 1 Call of Haunted, 1 Judgment. I mained a Road, Torrential, Dust Tornado, Mirror Force, Compulse, Dust Shoot, lots of 1-ofs in my trap deck. The reason I mained this is because I needed another blowout in my deck. I felt like there were some games that I was going first and just losing because I got out tempoed. I didn't want to main 2 of this because sometimes this card is awful going second, and this card is also awful into stuff like Black Wings. So just 1. It could be like something else, but for the event it was pretty nice. This card I wasn't playing, and I haven't seen a lot of people playing it in this list, which I think is very strange. This card gives you a lot of different lines to push for things, as well as allowing you to reborn something like Stratos to get the +1, as well as the body, which comes up a lot, or to do the Summon Back Ocean to get the +1, or even something like Summon Back Diva to make a Synchro, or Summon Back Honest to bounce into your hand later. So it was really solid, and I like this card a lot. Maining Road was probably like one of the best decisions I made. Obviously it's to beat stuff like Heavy, but what you can do is play super slow, right? You can just summon a Diva, an Alias, whatever you want, and just like not attack. And then you can commit something else to play into Torrential on purpose, right? Because you want them to Torrential you because you're not attacking, they're thinking you're going to make a bigger push and you can road them, as well as purposely playing into stuff like Mirror Force, because you're attacking 2 monsters on the next turn once you have the road set up. So that happened a lot, and it was very good for me, as well as Stardust being able to work under Skill Drain is really cool. I played Dust Tornado because I needed more back row removal. I also wanted to improve my Blackwing matchup. Obviously the matchup is a little bit favored because your guys are bigger than most of their guys, except for Sirocco. As well as like being able to do some cool things like playing around Dust Shoot, because sometimes Dust Shoot can be really strong against you, and if your opponent draws it going second, you want to be able to play around it by setting a card in the draw phase, or like with priority, whatever you want. Or in the end phase of your turn, more likely. I play Compulse as another out to Stardust, as well as being able to bounce my own stuff back to my hand to play around stuff like D-Prison. So yeah, 40 cards in the main deck. For the extra, pretty standard. 3 F-Zero, Gaia, Chimera Tech, 2 Android, Cataster. This guy just gets boosted. Not a level 3 monster or goes to grave. I never made this once. And I made Android a lot. Android is super cool because you're playing a bunch of traps, and you can sit on those traps, and you just like recur life points. So there were a couple games where I gained upwards of like 3,000 life points with this card because you're just like sitting on it, not attacking. And that's like the big thing about this deck is you're going to trade card advantage or tempo for your life points. You're going to be able to hold cards like Deep Prison or Bottomless or something like that by just like taking the damage when you can use it for the most impactful pushes. So you want to be able to get the maximum value out of all your cards, and sometimes it puts you really low on life, so being able to gain some life back is super cool. 6 is Goyo, Brio, Flingle Dude. Never made this. Made this once, I think. I made Brio a lot. Then I played Stardust and Thought Ruler. The reason I played Thought Ruler is it feels like it loses to the least amount of cards in the format, as well as being really big. So I played this over something like a Red Dragon Archfiend or a second Stardust, something like that. And I played Mistworm because you can make it with Diva, Gilman, and a level 4. For the side deck, I played Stonemeter for the Mirror for Blackwing. It's another water, pretty solid. I played Ranmole. This card has another up to Stardust, as well as being an Earth monster. You can make Gaia with it. And this card outs flip monsters or set monsters, which can be a really big problem for this deck sometimes. If they just go to like set Subzitoad or set Raikou, it can be really hard to deal with sometimes. So being able to have an out is really important. Speaking of having outs to set monsters, I played Exiled Force. The reason I played this card over something like DD Warrior Lady is because it is an Earth monster, which is cool, you can fuse with it, as well as it being able to work under Skill Drain. And also doesn't lose to Bottomless. DD Warrior Lady plays into Bottomless as well. So this allows you to priority pop a set monster under Skill Drain, which is really cool. It attributes as cost. It's switchable off of Rhoda. All around, this card was really, really solid, and I like this card a lot. I played Taiku for frogs and value and all that stuff. 1 Cyber Dragon, if I had space to play 2, I'd absolutely play 2. I think this card is really solid. The Machina matchup is a little difficult sometimes, so being able to contact fuse is pretty cool. And it's like really good going second, just to have a bigger beater that can be honested. I played Soul Release. Why did I play this card? I'm not really sure. I needed something that was like good into Frog Hero that like wasn't Crow. And like in theory, it like banishes both the frogs and like the hero monsters, so it like is the highest impact, but I don't know if I play this again. It was like pretty okay. Played 2 Chalice. This is another card that I really liked. The coolest thing about this card is you can use it in the damage step to negate flip monsters, so stopping Raikou and all that, as well as it being able to be played on your own monsters like Ab-Zero to beat over Stardust, which came up a couple times for me as well. Outside of that, like, it's just a good card in general. Being able to negate something and be able to play it immediately is super cool. And yeah, I really liked it overall. I thought it was like one of the best cards in my side deck. I played the second Skill Drain, 2 Oppression, 2 Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, and Light Imprisoning Mirror, all of Floodgates. Your Light Sworn matchup is not very good, so this card could be more of, but you already have Impression, and so I didn't think it was worth it. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror was like pretty solid. Oppression was ridiculous. I liked this card a lot. And the second Skill Drain went in whenever I went first. And for the last card, I just played another Dust Tornado to cover all my bases with the Trap decks, as well as Blackwings. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you need sleeves or anything like that, please check out the Pristine Protection and use code JOEYGO10 for 10% off your order. And if you want to see more Edison content in the future, let me know. I've been getting into the format a lot, and I've been enjoying it. So, thanks so much for watching.